Knowing how to respond to kids' picky eating can be really difficult, especially for parents who don't have any experience in that area. Here's a few tips and tricks on how to help address that in your home. So maintaining a routine is super important to eating because it helps flow with your body's natural eating rhythms. There's a big snacking culture going on right now, and so when we're constantly snacking, we're constantly eating, our body's never actually feeling hungry. When you establish a routine and you have these base big meals that you're eating along with maybe one or two little snacks, you have that real hunger pattern that kind of ebbs and flows with your activity levels, your different days, your schedule, everything like that. Quitting snacking can be really, really hard, especially for kiddos who are used to being able to have snacks when they want. And so a lot of patience with your kiddo can be really important, using visual timers, maybe planning a snack together so they know that they're looking forward to it, they get kind of an active role in it. We all have foods that we really, really love, and we all have foods that we don't really love, and kids are no exception to that. When you want to try those new foods, like giving a kid broccoli or cauliflower, pair them together with something that's a little more of a kid food. Like maybe you have mac and cheese with like a side of broccoli. It brings those together and pairs them so that there's the food that they really, really love, but there's also something new. Maybe they just look at it, they see it, they smell it, they're having an experience with it, even if that's not necessarily them eating it. Reducing the workload of eating kind of comes down to all of the tasks and demands that are involved of kids when they eat. You know, they have to sit at the table, they have to use their fork and knife, they have to engage in a conversation, they have to chew with their mouth closed. You know, they have to do all of these things that aren't supernatural for kids, especially young kids. Like, that's a lot to ask of them. So if you can make that a little easier for them, maybe if they're eating their food, they're doing really great, maybe we don't need to ask a lot of questions. We can ask about their day later. Or, you know, if it's kind of a semi-finger food, you know, it might be a little bit messy, but it's something you really want them to engage with, you really want them to eat. A fork and a knife aren't super necessary at that time. So serving what you want your family to eat is really about when you sit down at the beginning of the week and you plan your meals, you know, if you're gonna have chicken Alfredo and maybe your kid's like, I don't want that, we're gonna make it anyway. Maybe on the side, your kid says that they want blueberries. Perfect, we'll have chicken Alfredo with blueberries. That sounds fantastic. Kind of goes back to the pairing the foods. They have that positive, they have that thing that they really want. And that can be really important, especially if your kids are like, well, I only want chicken nuggets. You can really quickly end up in a cycle of only serving chicken nuggets. By giving them that option and helping them see the food that you're making, interact with that food, having that experience, even if they only eat the part that they want, you're still giving them that experience with the smell, the look, the stuff like that. So when you give them smaller portions, you set more realistic expectations for what they should actually be able to eat. And so when you give them that smaller size, they eat it all and they're like, yay, I'm still hungry, like I want more. That's super awesome. So when they ask for seconds, don't give them all the broccoli as the seconds. Seconds shouldn't necessarily be bad. If they're listening to their body, they're listening to their hunger cues, that could be really awesome. Maybe they want more mac and cheese. That's perfect. They're listening to their body and that should be really reinforced.